You need to learn to gain control in areas of your life where you have lost control. Hustle culture is just for you to spend more money on things that you don't need, but that's a whole other conversation. Trying to get out of the survival mode mindset requires a lot of focus and brain power. You really need to be in your own personal growth journey to do this properly. I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I got out of survival mode, added steps in my day-to-day life to make things just a little bit easier, because who doesn't want that? If you like today's topic, then please tell me your thoughts down below in the comment section and give this video a thumbs up, because it really does help out my channel. So what is survival mode? Survival mode is essentially living your day-to-day life Monday through Sunday, doing these same things just to make ends meet, just to get by. Maybe working a 9 to 5 that you do not enjoy, just so you can pay your bills, just so you can get by, just so you can live your life and do the things that you enjoy. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to come here and sit down and tell you guys how to live your life. And that's what this video is for, to help you discover what makes you happy. But if you clicked on this video, then you need my assistance. So for me personally, a little backstory if you don't know me, my name's Jessiara Marriott, I'm 21 years old and I am a full-time content creator and a mother. I like to choose my own schedule and I like to control my day. I do like a lot of control in my life, and with certain things, you need to learn to gain control over. You need to learn to gain control in areas of your life where you have lost control. Now, what I mean by this is, for example, if you work a 9 to 5, you don't answer to yourself, you answer to somebody else, which in some ways is easier, but for a lot of people, it's difficult because they then take that aspect of not being in control of their life, and then you continue that in the rest of your life, in your friendships, in your relationships, in your personal life, in your wellness journey, in your self-care routine. You've lost control in that, so you now are struggling to gain back control. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you to quit your 9 to 5 or to quit whatever you're doing, whether you're studying in school or at university or working for yourself, but you need to gain control in areas of your life where you feel you have lost it. For me, that is in terms of my health. I'm currently going through something where I have no idea what's wrong with me, but I have been suffering with fainting spells and seizures and etc, etc. That's a whole different story. If you're interested, I'll leave it in the information bar and down below in the description. But when it comes to that area of my life, I don't have much control over it because my body does what it wants to do. And when this first started a few months ago, I was really struggling on the idea that I've lost control of my most powerful source, my body. I need my body. My body is my temple and your body is your temple. So the fact that I lost control in that aspect, I needed to regain control in that. So I have been extensively doing my research on wellness and health journeys and just finding ways that I can regain control where I've lost it in my health. So I have been doing things like yoga and stretching and breathing exercises and journaling and eating cleaner, eating healthier, drinking smoothies and juices, all the good stuff. So for you, wherever you feel you have lost control, try and regain it back. That may be in your friendships or your relationships. If you feel like, you know, your friends are taking over in the friendships and they're planning all the stuff and they're not inviting you, or they always get a say and you don't have a say in things. The same with your relationship. Does your partner always plan things and do things and you maybe want to take control of that sometimes? Bring this up in your friendships and relationships if that is the sector that you want to regain control in. Talk to people about it and communicate how you feel, because how can people help you if you can't communicate that to them? So talk to your partner, talk to your best friend and just say, hey, I feel like I want to, you know, plan date night, or I want to plan our night out, or I want to plan movie night, and take the steps back to regain control in those aspects of your life. If it is to do with your job, that's a whole other conversation. But if you feel like you've lost control in your job, if you feel like your job is no longer serving you, and you can find the means to find another job, and make sure that you have the skills and make sure that you build up your skill set so that when you do, maybe if you want to walk away from that job, you do have other options lined up. Survival mode is a funny concept to me because I feel like, I mean, I haven't had the years and years and years of working for someone else to say this, but just from a consumer point of view and from seeing people on the internet and watching TikToks, it feels like the whole conversation and stigma around the whole hustle culture, to me, it's just so toxic. I don't want you guys feeding into any of that because A, it's a marketing ploy. Like, hustle culture is just for you to spend more money on things that you don't need, but that's a whole other conversation. I want you guys to remember not to compare your life to other people's lives, especially when it's two very, very, very distant things. If someone that you're following and that you're watching is living in a mansion in the middle of Dubai, in the middle of Southeast Asia, or wherever it may be, and they're a guru and they make millions of dollars doing nothing, and then you're here hustling, working working more than one job, you know, struggling to make ends meet, you're going to naturally compare yourself to that person, and you're going to start to ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing that they're not doing? What are they doing that I'm not doing? So my point being is hustle culture is a lie. I don't want you guys to feed into it. Hustle culture is draining. It's toxic, especially for Gen Z in this generation. Like, the idea of hustling and doing things at the speed of light and doing multiple things at once is just so draining. And I've never fed into that stigma. I've never fed into that narrative because A, who has the time for that? And B, I like to focus on one thing entirely. I like to focus on one thing entirely, one thing at a time, rather than doing lots of different side hustles that require large amounts of my time and energy that I do not have anyway. If you're in that bubble of feeling like you're not doing enough, please know that you are doing enough. You're doing the best that you can. And the only thing that you need to do now is take a step back and to follow the steps I'm about to share with you guys. First thing you need to do to get out of this survival mode mindset is to stop comparing what you know and where you came from. It is hindering your growth. From you telling yourself, you know, to be humble and remember where you came from and to remember your beginnings. Yes, that is completely true. And I'm not telling you not to do that, but you cannot make it your be all and end all. You cannot make it your all consuming thing to remember and to think about, because there's so much more that you will benefit from in your growth journey than if you keep remembering, you know, your humble beginnings. If you keep remembering, you know, if you grew up, you know, in a low income household and you keep telling yourself, you know, remember where you came from. You grew up in a low income household, didn't have that much, so you need to make sure this and that. I feel like I used to tell myself this and it became really toxic, because when I did make a certain amount of money that I've never seen before, like I've never seen those numbers in my bank account, I was like, where did this come from? I would then question myself and ask myself, do I even deserve it? I would start to doubt myself when I know the work that I put in to earn that money. So when you start to compare what you know and where you came from, it can really hinder your growth process, because you're just going to be constantly thinking back and telling yourself to be humble and telling yourself to remember X, Y, and Z. Again, yes, definitely do that. Please be humble, remember where you came from, but do not make it all consuming, because it will definitely stop you from getting where you want to be, and it will stop you from enjoying the little things. So my second point, again, I want to bring this up, what I spoke about in the beginning, is to live simply and not for hustle culture. I say simple living, I mean remove things that don't serve you, remove people that don't serve you, remove situations and circumstances that don't serve you, and try and cut down as much stress as you can. Because I know for me, recently, with just my health in general, I'm just taking it into account to just stay as mellow as possible. Not for anyone else, just for myself, because it feels better. Like, who wants to be stressed? Definitely not me. I remove things that just make life a little bit harder. And when I say remove things that make life harder, I don't mean like your job and things that require time. And yes, you can be stressed, but like in moderation. You can be stressed in moderation. But when it comes to just that background noise and outside noise, you want to limit that as much as possible. But trying to get out of the survival mode mindset requires a lot of focus and brain power. You really need to be in your own personal growth journey to do this properly. And please just remove things that don't serve you, remove things that no longer bring you enjoyment. Clutter. It's like decluttering your life. I enjoy decluttering my life at least once every 2 months. My contacts on my phone, my messages, my DMs. Next step, and one of the most important steps in this getting out the survival mode mindset, is to set monthly goals. I made a video about goals 101 when it was the start of the new year. Check that out in the description bar down below if you're interested in watching it. But in that video, I talked about how to set goals and how to actually set goals, active goals, not just to say that you're going to go to the gym 5 times a week every single week, because that's not a realistic goal. Is to sit down at the end of every month and review my work schedule, my personal life schedule, just go over each sector of my life and look at what went well, what I can improve on, and then take goals that I didn't quite do in that month to the next month, improve it or remove it if it's not realistic for that time period. The effect of setting goals monthly or bi-monthly, quarterly, however you want to do it, makes it so much more niche. Your mind is not stretched thinking about the end of the year. I would get so overwhelmed by the second week of January because I would set such unrealistic goals for myself. It was just not attainable for me at the time. Like in the beginning of the year, I would be a student with £50 to my name, and at the end of the year I would expect to be an entrepreneur making 6 figures. And yes, that is completely attainable for some people, but for me in that time period where I was in my life, it was not realistic. So setting monthly goals is a great way of just keeping yourself in track for the month, focusing on one thing at a time in the month. Make niche specific goals. And if you like to make goals in each sector of your life, that's what I do, because you can set big goals, but very few of those big goals. Therefore, it's more attainable than setting lots of little goals that you're just not going to do because you're going to be so overwhelmed. I hope this video has helped you guys get out of the survival mode mindset, because too many of us are stuck in it. I hope you guys have taken away some of the tips. Please look after yourself. Try and be as boussard as possible. Literally, this year, my word of the year, I think I mentioned this in my goal setting video, everything that I do is intentional this year. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel out a lot. And let me know what other video ideas you would like to see. I'll leave the playlist down below and in the information bar above if you do want to see more videos like this. But yeah, that's all. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.